In Talking Point this morning, we focus on property development and how private investors can participate in this investment sector. One of the founders of Opportunity Private Capital is Nick Morgan. Good morning, Nick, and welcome. What exactly does Opportunity Private Capital do, and how's the company been performing over the last 5 years or so?
Mark, hello. Good to be here. Thanks for letting me on this exalted show. To answer your question, look, Opportunity is a 16-year-old niche investment company. We're based in Cape Town, and we present secure investment opportunities for private investors to earn fixed returns on their capital by investing in property developments. And you probably know as much as anyone that there've been a lot of challenges experienced around the world over the last few years, and especially in South Africa. And if we look at the last 5 years, as you just mentioned, investors have achieved returns averaging just under 17% per year over that period, which is pretty consistent. And I think what pleases us, Mark, is we're very fortunate to have a high retention rate of investors. And that means those are the investors who roll over from one development to the next. And this retention rate's over 80%, which is very, very pleasing to us.
Now, you mentioned you work in the niche sector, which means these investments, the developments, are around the Cape Town area, are they? How has this strategy worked for you?
Mark, that's right, yeah. Our strategy changed about 7 years ago to mainly focus on investment projects in the greater Cape Town area, as we just felt that the underlying foundations of property and the performance of the local government gave the strategy that we had a better foundation for the business that we're in. And it seems like it's a good decision because, as mentioned earlier, even with the problems experienced in other parts of the country, things here are relatively stable. And I think there's growing evidence to support the fact that more and more people want to move from other parts of the country to the greater Cape Town area. So it makes the Western Cape, we think, a desirable investment destination. So to answer your question, to point, this niche sector that we're in is proving successful for the company and for the investors.
Yeah, we often joke, don't we, about people semigrating to Cape Town, and it does seem as though Cape Town is really filling up. Now,
Absolutely.
Many investors, well, including me, feel that property investment is just for the big guys, in inverted commas, but you're saying it's not. The guy in the street can participate. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, Mark. I think what we've managed to do is open up investments from 100,000 Rand per investment. And that gives access to individuals that, this would normally be relegated to very high net worth individuals. And so generally the man in the street has got better access to these kind of investments now, which pleases us greatly. And I suppose you'd like to hear whether these investments have benefit to them or not.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Look, I think, Mark, there are a number of reasons for this. One of the main reasons is that investors have early access to the development life cycle. So what I mean by that is that instead of investing right at the end of the project, as in purchasing the final product, which is what one normally does, is investors invest during the actual development phase. And that's where the bulk of the value is extracted. And then secondly, the attractive fixed returns which are offered are, of course, beneficial to investors. But this doesn't mean a thing if your capital is not protected. So the main advantage of this investment, to our mind, is capital protection. The development assets are held as security for the investor's capital until they are repaid. And then finally, something that I think is useful for investors is the fixed returns and the predetermined timelines of the investments give investors a pretty good idea about how the investment will perform, which affords some predictability with their planning.
And do you have any investments on the go at the moment, and what is the future of property development in Cape Town?
That's two important questions, Mark. So I'll answer the first one, is what is going on at the moment. So there are currently 3 investment developments that are on the go. They're in full swing. All these developments are in the northern suburbs of Cape Town. And the projected returns to investors range between 14 and 18% per annum, depending on the level of investment and the project itself. The investors involved, just as an aside, the investors involved in the first of these 3 developments mentioned can start expecting the returns literally now, this month, returns on their capital, which is very good news, and they did well. I mean, these investments earned returns of 15% per year on their capital, and certain investors even earn higher because they invested more capital. So I think that tells you what is happening on a micro level with us. On a broader macro level, which is what you alluded to, is what's happening with property. You mentioned it earlier, Mark. You said there's immigration down to the Cape, and property is in very high demand in most suburbs of Cape Town, Stellenbosch, Somerset West. Paarl is booming, and that, I think, is just the influx of people from various parts of the country. So property generally, especially in the middle income sector in Cape Town, is vibrant, doing really well.
I get the feeling that we've just scratched the surface here, Nick. We've been speaking to Nick Morgan, one of the founders of Opportunity Private Capital. Nick, if FMR listeners would like to get hold of you to find out more, how can they do that?
Mark, they can go to the website, www.opportunity.co.za, or call us on the office number, which is 021-919-9944. But I'd just like to leave you with something, is that we've just opened a new investment cycle for one of the projects, and that has a minimum investment, as alluded to earlier, of 100,000 Rand, and the projected fixed returns to investors on this is from 14% per year, which we feel, and I think you'll agree, is pretty competitive in the current market.
Indeed. Nick Morgan, founder of Opportunity Private Capital. The contact details again, opportunity.co.za, that's the website, or the telephone number 021 919 9944.